her up, put a little straw in your mouth and just soak her up. And any questions that you have afterwards, you can just shoot them to me and I'll answer anything you have. We just started the recording. Obviously, they didn't want to hear the intro. That's okay. All that to say, I'm going to pass it over to Jenni. You guys are going to see she has a way, because she is her father's daughter, that she will give clarity. She's going to be able to give us focus. And what we focus on grows. Thoughts are things, yes, but what we focus on grows. And the law of the lid, I know for us NMDs, it's endless because of the leadership that they give and instill into us. So we, more than I can even put into words, appreciate it. But I'm going to get myself out of the way. You guys know how I feel about her because I talk about her to you guys all the time. But I'm going to get myself out of the way. And Jenni, we are so excited to have you here. I'm just glad that I'm able to get words out, and it's not your dad here on the Zoom. It's you. And I consider you a friend. So go ahead, take it away, and we're so glad to have you with us tonight.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Good. Okay. Well, man, thank you for that introduction. That was awesome. And I have to admit, I cannot wait to tell my dad that that he makes someone so nervous that they have to tinkle. I think that's maybe the first time I've heard that one. That one's really good. I won't tell him who said it. I'll leave it anonymous. I'll make him try to guess.
He'll have no clue. But you can tell him that I was the only call that he ever did where I said he oozes awesomeness three times. Like that was me.
He oozed awesomeness. He had never heard that before. That made him feel really good. So that was good. But no, but thank you. I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. And I know you already know this, but let me just say, man, you guys are blessed to have awesome leadership on this team. And man, Tanya is someone that, I mean, I have had the privilege of getting to work with her for about the past year or so. And I mean, she said this as well, but I consider her not only an amazing leader in Miriam, but also a friend. And you guys are blessed to have, I mean, her passion and determination and just love of life and love of you guys is just awesome. It's not something that everybody gets. So that's a great thing. I am going to leave plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So if y'all have questions, feel free to jot them down. We'll talk about them. I kind of wanted, Tanya's been telling me about the 90-day run y'all are doing. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. Because first, let me say kudos for being on the 90-day run. I am so excited about this. Because here's what I want you to know. It works. I know it works. I mean, I did almost this exact same 90-day run with another NMD over the summer. And we did it over the summer where people tell you, those are the months you're supposed to decline and not grow. And her team experienced amazing momentum. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it, but I want you to know you're not guinea pigs in this 90-day run. It works. I know it works. And so that's exciting. So know that. I like to compare a 90-day run to Weight Watchers. Now, why do I compare it to Weight Watchers? For those of you who do not know what Weight Watchers is, I mean, you've probably at least heard of it, but it's one of the most successful weight loss programs in the world, right? Why is it successful? We could all easily weigh in the privacy of our own home once a week, right? But that's not enough to prevent us from eating the chocolate chip cookie. So what do? We willingly sign up for Weight Watchers because we want that level of accountability that we have to go weigh in front of someone, a complete stranger that's going to tell us if we've gained or lost weight. But it's that motivation and it's that accountability that prevents us from eating the chocolate chip cookie, right? So the 90-day run is kind of just like that. You guys willingly signed up for this level of accountability because you know it's going to help you reach your next level. And I just want to say kudos to that. You're probably rounding out about your first 30 days or somewhere around that. You've been doing your weekly tracking, and some of you might right now be saying, I don't know if this is for me. I can't do this, right? I mean, you might be feeling that, or you might just be feeling uncomfortable. Well, I want you to know this. Instinctively, we are never encouraged to grow to new levels. Think about that for a minute. Instinctively, we are not encouraged to grow to new levels. So we all have these things called natural human instincts. And these natural human instincts like to fight to keep you right where you are. They are called comfort zones for a reason. So I tell people, if you're feeling uncomfortable, get excited because that means you have stepped into the river of change. That means you are changing habits and behaviors necessary to reach your next level. And that is exciting. But you have to be mindful of that. So be mindful of those thoughts. I'm so excited Tanya's recording this call because I'm going to issue you guys a challenge. I want you to listen to this call at least once a week for the rest of your 90-day run for the next 60 days. We believe in spaced repetitious learning. You're going to hear something different next week that you did not hear today. There's also going to be some of you, maybe in the next 60 days, that have this feeling of, I just want to quit. This isn't working. I'm throwing in the towel. Well, I want you to be mindful of those thoughts. And here's what I want you to promise me you're going to do. Before you make the decision, if you're going to be one of those ones who decides to throw in the towel, you got to come listen to this call one time before you do that. So if you call Kate or Tennille or Carrie or Tanya and say, oh, I just don't know if I can do it, the first thing they're going to say to you is, well, you have to go listen to that call again and then let me know what you think, right? So I want you also to go put a star on your calendar for your end date. I think the end date's December 19th. Is that correct, Tanya? What's your end date for the 90-day run? December 19th. Okay, so I want you all to put, and I know you're all probably have this, we'll talk about this in a minute, the achievement planner. But if you haven't, go put a star on December 19th because that's the end date of your 90-day run. And I believe that you need to celebrate the end date as much as you celebrate the start date. So I want you to go ahead and plan, what are you going to do on the 19th? Are you going to go get a pedicure? Are you going to go out with your spouse or your friends or your significant other? What are you going to do? But go ahead and plan it. Get excited about it. And here's what else I want you to do. I want you to think for just a minute of how you're going to feel on December 19th when you've completed this 90-day run. When you have turned in your tracking sheet every week, when you have really developed new habits and behaviors, when you're really starting to gather some momentum, think about how you're going to feel. What an accomplishment that's going to feel like. And I want you to bring that feeling forward to today. And so not only, I'm asking you to visualize what it's going to feel like when you end, but I'm also asking you to bring that feeling forward. That's what they say is that when we really want to attract something in our lives, not only do we have to visualize it, we have to go ahead and adopt the feeling as if it's already happened. So I want you to go the next 60 days adopting that feeling as if you've already tackled and accomplished the task of the next 60 days of the 90-day run. So spend some time visualizing what you want that to feel like. But a 90-day run is about consistency. That's one thing it's about. It's about just developing those new behaviors. And this 90-day run was designed to set you up to win. Now, you might be wondering why I'm saying that. The biggest lesson I teach is that you teach people to win by winning, not by losing. That might sound so simple, but I want you just for a moment to think about New Year's resolutions. How often have we all been conditioned to set these really big New Year's resolutions, and then by February we've given up and we're discouraged? We have a tendency to confuse goals and dreams, and there is a difference. We absolutely want you to dream big. That's why you do dream boards. That's why we do your 5-year vision statements, the first thing you do in the next level achievement system. But there is a difference between goals and dreams. Your goals are stepping stones to your dreams. So always recognize the difference between the two. Dream big, but realize that you always set your goals a baby step forward from where you are right now. But this 90-day run was designed to set you up to win. Some of you, I realize, probably have full-time jobs, and you do Nerium on the side. Well, this 90-day run was designed for you. When I did this same 90-day run with an NMD over the summer, most of her participants worked full-time, and they did Nerium on the side. So here's what I want you to do. I want you every day to plan tomorrow before tomorrow begins. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to decide. So when we get off the phone tonight, I want you to do this for tomorrow. I first want you to ask yourself, how much time do I have to work my Nerium business tomorrow? So first have a realistic conversation with yourself. You might have to go to work from 8 to 5, feed some kids some dinner, and then maybe you only have 1 hour to work Nerium tomorrow. That's okay. But here's what I want you to do. You need to plan what you're going to do in that hour, and you need to plan it the day before. So are you going to spend that time doing your personal development? Perhaps you're doing a sit down. Perhaps you're following up with prospects. Perhaps you're getting a bottle out. But go ahead and decide today what you're going to do in that 1 hour tomorrow. Or maybe you have 2 hours, maybe you have 3, whatever your time is. But if you do not plan it and you just wait for that hour to appear, that's going to be challenging. Because what our natural human tendencies are, we're just going to start picking up that phone and answering emails and texts and voicemails and not doing the things proactively to move our business forward. But if you can effectively plan to first decide how much time each day you have to spend on your Nerium business, and then proactively plan it with what you're going to do in that time, you can achieve this 90-day run. Now, I also want to talk to you about, it's not about perfection. Know this, perfectionism is an unworthy pursuit and it leads to unhappiness. So this 90-day run is about getting a little bit better. I mean, that's what achievement's about. Achievement is about getting a little bit better each day. So one of the things we've done is I talk about this 90-day run in terms of percentage of goals accomplished or percentage of KPIs accomplished. KPI stands for key performance indicator. Those are the things you're tracking on this run. Bottles out, RRPs and sit downs, exposures, personal development, those things. Those are the things you're tracking. I call those KPIs. It is not about every week getting 100%. Because we realize life happens. But at the end of every month, I want you, and I've given Tanya the tool, the spreadsheet, right? Do they all have the spreadsheet, Tanya? Okay, so the spreadsheet you have that has in the upper left-hand corner, it has David Byrd Consulting in it. This is where you can go in and you enter in your actuals for the past 30 days. How much personal development did you do? How many days did you do exposures? How many RRPs and sit-downs did you do? You input your actuals, and then a percentage will automatically be calculated for you. When you do that, your goal is to be above 70%. So you're not having to do this weekly, you're doing this monthly. So at the end of every 30 days, you are calculating this. If you're above 70%, I call that kind of the green zone. That means you're doing good. You're going to get the most out of the 90-day run. If you are between 50 and 70%, you're kind of in that yellow zone. That's not bad. If that's the best you can do, I'm excited about that. But if you want to make the most out of the 90-day run, I want you to look at your activity and see what can you do to try to get in that 70% zone. And the same is true if you're in that below 50%, I kind of call that the red zone. Once again, if that's the best you can do and that's better than what you did last month, I'm excited. That's achievement. But if you want to get the most out of that 90-day run, I want you to look at what activity you can do to bump yourself up to that 70%. So this is just a gauge for you guys. It's a gauge for you to see where you are and where your activity balance is. But it's also teaching you that, it's not about perfection. You might have a bad day and you weren't able to get any of your Nerium stuff done. I've even had somebody that had a bad week. And guess what? If they could rock it the other 3 weeks, you can have one bad week and still get over 70%. So if you have a bad day or a bad week, don't quit. Know that you're aiming to be above 70%, and it is about setting you up to win. And this 90-day run does just that. It really does set you up to win. So one of the things I also want to talk to you about is set attainable expectations for yourself. So what we saw in the 90-day run I did over this summer is the first 30 days, people really didn't see that many changes in their organization. Because guess what? The first 30 days, you're starting to build those new habits and behaviors. You're getting everybody going. 60 days in, they started to see some momentum. But let me tell you where they really started to reap the fruits of their labor, 90 days in. And I really think that what Nerium has given you guys is a gift. And here's what I mean by this. They have said to you, January 7th, we're going to have this huge announcement, right? Well, guess what? October and November, and they know this, they're smart, right? October and November are the best months in this industry. So they have basically given you this gift of saying, you know what? Go out, grow your business, bring as many people in as you can, because guess what? Then you're going to be ready for January 7th. And I truly think that's a gift. Now, it's a gift that being on a 90-day run that you are all going to take advantage of, which I just think is amazing. So you have 2 of the best months in the industry to do this 90-day run, to grow your business. You kind of come up for air during the holidays. I didn't say you stop working completely. I just say you kind of come up for air. And then you know what? January 7th, we've got all these new products and we're probably off on another run. But they have given you this gift to grow your business for the best 2 months in the industry so that you're ready and you're as maxed out and as prepared as you can be for this huge announcement on January 7th. And that is just exciting to me. So I forgot to mention this. If you do not have an achievement planner, I really encourage you to get one. It will help you on this 90-day run. It will help you in the habit of planning tomorrow before tomorrow begins. If you don't have one, you can get that at www.elptools.com. So that stands for the Elite Leadership Program. So elptools.com. Order that. It will help you. It is not a calendar, and it is not just a training device. It is truly a development program. And so it is a development program that helps you develop the right habits and behaviors, to the effective habits and behaviors. Because, it's not just about getting more stuff done. It's the effectiveness of what you do that truly matters. So I'm just so excited that you guys are doing this 90-day run. Kudos to you. I really do want you to spend some time visualizing what it's going to feel like on December 19th to complete it, because I think that's going to be awesome. I want you to start planning your day before your day begins. Remember, you're going to decide every night how much time you have to work your area in business, and you're going to plan that time you have. I don't care if it's just an hour. You're going to decide proactively what you're going to do in that hour. And here's the other thing, don't forget, I know this works. We have seen other teams have amazing momentum in this, so it's going to be amazing for you guys as well. So with that, I would love to open it up for questions. This is one of my favorite parts of the team meeting, is really hearing from you guys and what questions you have. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. I can't promise that I always have an answer, but anything's fair game.
Bueller.
I was going to type, but I'll ask it.
Go, sister.
How do you determine specifically, I think it's different for everybody, but how do you determine what takes priority in the course of your day? Between, you talked about working an 8-hour job and having family and other commitments. I know how I prioritize, but how do you, somebody who's at your level and looking at the NMDs, how do you prioritize that?
That's a great question. Here's a misnomer. People expect that life is going to be balanced every day. And some people are striving for their life to be balanced every day. Life balance is that it occurs over a period of time. So you might have a couple of months where you say, I got to really dig in and do this at work. And then you kind of come up for air and you go, okay, now it's not that you've forgotten your family during that time, but it's just, like the life balance piece is shift, So, I don't think, so that's why I love the achievement planner. Because let me tell you this, what I do is every day, my achievement planner is not just my work life. It's my professional, and it's my personal, my professional. So I keep it all in there. So every day I am proactively planning my day. I'm writing my to-dos. So some of my to-dos are sign my kids up for camp. Which I can't believe I'm already having to think about next summer. That kind of blows my mind. But one of my to-dos is, sign my kids up for camp, or, go buy so-and-so a birthday present, which is the same thing as follow up with this NMD about something I promised to get them. So I'm looking at all of my to-dos holistically. And one of the things I encourage and I teach through the achievement planner is I tell everybody for every day to choose 5 to-dos. And that's personal and professional. Now, the reason I say 5, some people freak out when I say that, is because most people try to write down 40 things. And at the end of the day, one of 2 things has occurred. They didn't get anything done because they were overwhelmed by the list, or they only got 1 or 2 things done and they're discouraged. So when you have to prioritize 5, and it's a mix of personal and professional, every day I'm proactively thinking about that. Every day I'm saying, okay, what are my most important 5 things to do? And I'm looking at each day unique. Each day is unique in that what am I going to get done that day? And I think if you can do that, that is the beginning of life balance. And also life balance happens in your thinking first. You don't have to have wealth to have abundance. You actually have to be thinking about abundance first, and then wealth comes. And I'm not just talking about wealth and money. I'm talking about wealth and time and wealth and freedom and wealth and everything, right? So life balance happens in your thinking first. I always tell myself this. This is a new saying that I've accomplished. I have all the time I need. And it is amazing how that changes your thinking. It's something I've just recently heard about and adopted, but I say that to myself a lot. I have a little note on my computer. I have all the time I need. Because when I start telling myself I don't have enough time, that panic starts setting in. How am I going to get it all done? Life balance begins in your thinking first. And so if you start telling yourself, I have all the time I need, and you're prioritizing your to-dos every day, you will start to find that good mix between work and professional. Did that help?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. What other questions are out there?
Anybody have one? If not, I do. Can you talk about the importance of NLAs? We've got some SDs on the call, but we also have some directors that are so stinking close to that senior director level. What's the takeaway from an NLA, and what kind of value does it bring to our businesses if we attend?
Well, they've just announced some exciting new ones. They've got Vegas coming up next weekend, and then we've got Atlanta coming and Charlotte, which I live in Charlotte. So I have to say I'm super excited about Charlotte because I just get to drive down the road to go to that NLA, which will be awesome. But I'm going to be in Atlanta as well. So I'm going to be doing Atlanta with Danny Gassidney, and then I'll be here in Charlotte with Sam and Paul Wyatt. And NLA, I think, is awesome because what you do is the whole first day is really around the NMD teaching really basics of how, not basics, I shouldn't say that, but they're really giving you insights on how they do their business. How they run their business. So I think it's always valuable to learn from others, right? So when you're learning from another 5-star on how they run their business, that's amazing. So that's all the first day. And then the second day is all about, I spend the morning talking about winning the head game, the mindset. It all begins in your thoughts. And then we spend the afternoon really diving into the next level achievement system. So the second day is really all about your personal and your your personal development. And so that's what I love about an NLA is it's such a great mix. It's not just basic Nerium training. It is your Nerium training, and you get these amazing insights from these 3 to 5 stars who are doing awesome things. And then the whole second day is all about your personal development. And I just think that's a great mix. And I think anytime you can go and be surrounded with like-minded people and learn new things, it's always about growth. And so I encourage you, if you're an SD, I would definitely attend. I also think now that we're going to an annual conference, I think NLAs are more important, even more important, because I think you need that time to continue to develop yourself and to be around others. And most people call me and say, I've really had people come to me later and say, that NLA changed my life. I'm so glad I went. And it's not about me or what I trained. It's about what they learned and their perceptions of it. So if you've never been to one, I would definitely encourage you to go. And I love that Miriam's doing them more regionally, so they're more affordable. You can drive. So the fact that you guys have 2, I know we have some West Coast folks too, but we have Vegas. But for the East Coast folks on the call, we've never had one in Charlotte. So you have some new cities. Atlanta, I know we had one recently, but we have some 2 specific in the East Coast. So if you can get to one, I definitely think it is worth your time and investment.
Speaking of self-development, what is your favorite book that you love to recommend to your leaders?
Oh, okay. Well, I have 2. I have to do 2. So one's kind of a light read. Like if you just, a very light, easy read. It's called 10% Happier. And it's by Dan Harris. He is the CBS News anchor that had a nervous breakdown on air. So he tells his story, but it's his journey into meditation. And I think when you say the word meditation, people think like you have to be on a yoga mat with candles lit and your legs crossed, and he really talks about how to do meditation in like everyday life. And he just makes it really funny and lighthearted. So if you're curious about meditation and you've never done it and you're just starting into that journey, even if you're not, he talks about how stressed he was in his life, the fact that he had a nervous breakdown, and how getting control of his thoughts and using meditation, which meditation is really just quieting your mind, how it changed his life. But it's a very easy read, very funny. So very opposite of that, my second recommendation is a very deep read. It's a guy by the name of Joe Dispenza. I mean, I love this man. He's amazing. If you want to hear a little bit about him, you can Google his TED Talk. And Dispenza is Dispenza. And the book, he has 3 books, but the one that I think is the best is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And those of you that have heard me at an NLA or heard me talk more, some of his stuff will sound very familiar. I've learned a lot from this man. He's amazing. But Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is all about, he says by the age of 35, we have become a memorized state of being. That means memorized emotions, memorized feelings. Think about it. I bet you wake up and start brushing your teeth on the same side of your mouth every morning, right? You don't even have to think about it. So you've become memorized in all of this. And he talks about, to break that, you have to become mindful of your thoughts. And you have to start saying to yourself, what thoughts do I want to have? What do I want to say to myself? And he's the one who really taught me about our conscious mind is the part of the mind you're aware of is only 5%. Our subconscious mind represents 95% of our thoughts, actions, and beliefs. So, guys, that little voice inside of your head, that's your subconscious. And so to change, we can change that. To change what those thoughts are telling you, you have to become mindful of those thoughts. I mean, that's what Tanya was saying earlier, thoughts are things. He just takes that a step further. So Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is really good. I would suggest read it all the way through one time and then go back and read it again. Because otherwise, if you're like me, you want to reread like one page like 10 times and just read the whole thing through, and then you can come back and read it again. But it's really good. I highly recommend that one. What other questions are out there?
All right, I can't stand for time to be wasted. So I am struggling with feeling like I have failed over and over. What are some key things to, in terms of like the self-affirmations that you would recommend?
Well, there's a couple of things. In our minds, we create our thoughts. Every thought we have it creates a neural pathway in our brain. Okay. So for example, like when we go to learn how to ride a bike, we create a new neural pathway. So you have some neural pathways in your brain, some thoughts that probably go back for a really long time, right? So they're really strong. So you can break those. You can break those. One of the things I would recommend is meditation. And when I mean meditation, I mean I want you to take 1 minute 3 times a day. So maybe that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 1 minute, not asking for much, and visualize your best self. What does your best self look like? What does your best self say in certain situations? I want you to visualize your best self. How does your best self win in certain situations? Here's what happens. We tend to focus on what we don't want to happen. And our thoughts create our own personal reality. So guess what? When we're focusing on what we don't want to happen, guess what happens? What we don't want to happen. So by taking 3 minutes, 1 minute 3 times a day, and visualizing your best self, you are rewiring your brain. And you're starting to focus on those things that you do want to happen. So that's number 1. And I really would for you, like order Joe Dispenza's tonight. Like order his book tonight, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's amazing. The other thing I would suggest is, I spoke about this earlier, but set yourself up to win. I see so many people who maybe they haven't ever recruited and I'm just using any example. Like maybe I have somebody who's never recruited more than 1 brand partner a month. right? And then all of a sudden they set a goal, or in their mind, they're like, I'm going to recruit 10 this month. Well, that's great, but that's a dream. That's not attainable. So even on this 90-day run, I want you to look at what you did last week. And I want you to say to yourself, I'm going to take a baby step forward, and I'm going to do a little bit better than what I did last week. Don't set yourself up if you haven't been achieving 100%, which is fine if you haven't. If you've been achieving like 25% of the tracking sheet, then you know what? Next week we're going to aim for 30. And then we're going to aim for 35. And then we're going to aim for 40. That gets back to that lesson of you learn to win by winning. And most of us set ourselves up with unattainable goals. And then we get discouraged when we don't meet them. And so then guess what? Here's the other thing that Joe Dispenza taught me. Our brain wants to be right. So you have this belief that I fail at a lot of things. And so our brain wants to be right so bad, it almost sets yourself up for situations to confirm what you think. So you have to change that. So you change that by setting yourself up to win, small increments, baby steps. Goals are baby steps to your dream. Set yourself up to win, and then also 1 minute, 3 times a day, visualize your best self. I tell you, I challenge all of y'all to do that. We sent that issue out to Golden Key earners. Not all of them did it, but I tell you, the ones who did came back with remarkable stories. So I hope that helps. That would be my short answer on how to do that. And start telling yourself, start rewiring those neural pathways. Your brain believes whatever you tell it. So start telling yourself, I'm a winner and I know how to win. And at first it's going to feel really weird and awkward, but the more you do it, the more your brain's going to believe it. Did that help? Good. Thank you for asking.
I have one quick question. When you feel yourself going downhill or going to a negative place, what's the first thing that you do to turn yourself around?
Oh, that's great. So I always say, we are worse to ourselves than anybody else is to us, right? Right. So it's mindful. Here's the thing. I'm going to ask you a question, or just everybody in general. Can you predict your next thought? Well, no, you can't. And your thoughts are coming up from your subconscious. So we cannot predict our next thought. Your only choice is how you respond to that thought. And so I have learned that any thought that creates an emotion of anything other than love, joy, abundance, and gratitude is a thought we need to reject. And you have a choice. That's what's so great. When a thought comes up, you can say, I reject that thought. I'm wiping that out. I don't believe that one. I'll give you an example. I had a couple of months ago, I had a fender bender. I mean, it was no big deal, but it was totally my fault. And it was just a pain. You have to call the cops, you have to call insurance, all this kind of stuff. It was silly. I was going like 10 miles an hour, but it was still just silly. It made me mad, right? So I was driving home. I had my youngest daughter with me in the car. And I became very mindful of my self-talk. I mean, so much so that I pulled the car over and my youngest is like, what are we doing? I'm like, I need to get my thinking straight, which my kids probably already think I'm crazy. But I was like, I need to get my thinking straight. And my youngest is like, what? And I asked myself internally, I said, Jenni, if you were your own coaching client, what would you be saying to yourself right now? And I promise you, I would have not been saying the same things to my coaching client that I was saying to myself. I was beating myself up about this silly fender bender. So step one is becoming mindful of it. Most of us go through life, like I talked about brushing our teeth in the morning. We go through life just unconscious. So start becoming mindful of your thoughts. And anytime you have an emotion that is anything other than love, joy, abundance, and gratitude, question it. I'm not saying you have to reject them all, but you at least become mindful of those and say, why am I feeling this? And why am I saying this to myself? And you know what? I don't like this, so I'm going to reject this thought. And it's powerful. So I literally pull my car over and tell myself I'm going to start thinking something differently. And if you can become mindful of those thoughts, it is very powerful. Did that help? Did that answer your question? Good.
Good job. Okay, just give me, I need 5 minutes to envision my best self because I just need to give myself that kind of time. We're going to wrap the call up. If you guys have not, are not friends with Jenni, I don't even know if she can even accept more friends. Friend her on Facebook. She is dear. And you guys kind of saw a little bit of what I get to experience for an hour every single month. So that's why you want to race to NMD. The value that she gave, I mean, even just the little bullet points, put them to use. Tonight, she already gave you homework. So you know what you got to do tonight before your head hits your pillow, is plan tomorrow. And then figure out how much time do I even have tomorrow? And then from there, because I would say 90% of you work full-time outside of the home. And then Miriam is just your extra. So plan that. Love tonight's Zoom. Is my favorite of our 90-day run. So we're going to, not tell anybody else that we asked to speak, but Jenni is definitely my favorite. And if she decided to run for president, and not president of her dad's company, but president of the United States, guess what? I would vote for her. I would even run her Ever Loving campaign. Okay. Just know that. And I would sing the national anthem and Star Spangled Banner at everything she ever did. It would be wonderful. We'd have a lot of awesome Americans. So with that, you guys have a great week. Thank you so much, Jenni. We love you, and we appreciate everything that you bring, not just to Miriam, but to us personally and to our lives and to our businesses. You guys have a great rest of the week. I've got game plans all throughout the week. I love you guys. Love the three-way calls. Bring on the welcome calls. I did some today. We're all good, and I can keep up with all of y'all. Appreciate all that you do. Imagine your best self right now. And good night. Goodbye. Thanks, Jenni.
Thanks, Jenni.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.